Hello friends, thank you for joining me today. Have you ever noticed or have you ever thought about the Ahab spirit? How this Ahab spirit has infiltrated our society, even here and all across the world? What is the Ahab spirit? The Ahab spirit is like the Jezebel spirit, but it's the male version of the Jezebel spirit. And this Ahab spirit is keeping men bogged down and keeping them under control so that they cannot live out the amazing potential that the Almighty has put inside of them. But I'm calling today that we trash this Ahab spirit, that we rebuke it through Messiah's name, and that we begin to walk in the full power of the Almighty and in His Holy Spirit, that we begin this process today, and that from now on, the rest of our lives can be amazingly blessed when we rebuke this Ahab spirit out of our culture and out of our society. I don't want any of you to suffer any longer with this Ahab spirit. If you're suffering from the spirit, would you even know that you're suffering from it? What is this spirit? How can you break free from this spirit? How can we understand from the scriptures a very, very simple concept when we study out Ahab? When Ahab was trying to take hold of Naboth's vineyard and steal his vineyard from this righteous man, he took what was not his. I believe that the spirit of Ahab is basically the opposite of the spirit of Messiah. Because when we analyze and contrast the spirit of Ahab and the spirit of Messiah, we find two completely different things. So what does this look like in 1 Kings chapter 21 when Ahab took the vineyard of Naboth? See, it starts out that he went to him, right? He asked him if he could buy it. Naboth didn't want to sell it. So ultimately, the king Ahab was denied, and he went to his bed and was crying like a little baby. And then Jezebel came in there and was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And he told her the story, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get you the vineyard." See, we have a king who is lacking self-control. He's lacking leadership. He's lacking every form of manliness, crying on his bed. What woman is out there who is supporting her man, biblically speaking, and would like for her husband to constantly whine and complain about why everything isn't going right in his life? This is not manly. Period. It is not manly. What is manly? The Messiah-like spirit is manly. The Messiah-like spirit teaches us to be self-sacrificing. We can see that Messiah sacrificed his life for the plan of the Father. And we can see here that Ahab took wasn't his through the plan of his wife. So we have two different sides here. We have the Messiah-like spirit and the Ahab-like spirit. The Messiah teaches us in Matthew chapter 6 to trust in the Father, because even the birds of the heaven are fed by the Father. And we can listen right now to the birds. Every one of these birds is fed and taken care of by the Father. It's so awesome. It's amazing. He will take care of you. We don't have to whine and complain and be subject to the spirit of Ahab. No, we do not. So what were some of the traits of Ahab that were not manly? And what are some of the things that we can learn from this that are manly What are the traits that makes up a Messiah-like man? Just a few. We don't have time to talk about all of them. Ahab was all absorbed into himself, what he wanted. He wouldn't sacrifice for others. See, it's manly when you are selfless and you make selfless service for others, when you make selfless service for your family. Ahab was not self-controlled. He let his emotions just get the best of him because he couldn't get what he wanted. See, being self-controlled and controlling your emotions is manly. When the Messiah was being crucified, he only looked at what his Father's will was. Not what his will was, but what was best. What was best and what was the plan? The plan that he must fulfill. Men have a mission. You have a mission and a purpose. If you don't have self-control, your likelihood of fulfilling your mission is not high. Complaining. We see here that King Ahab was complaining to his wife about what he couldn't get. And we don't need to complain about what we can't get. We have to trust in the Father that if it's His will, we will receive it. If our heart is right for it, if our mind is right, if we've prayed about it, if it's important, if it's in the Father's will, then we will go after it with all that we have inside of us, and we will not quit or relent until we receive that which is ours. But see, Ahab was going after unrighteous gain, stealing another man's vineyard. Are our goals and our desires in alignment with what the Father's will is? His will is in His Word. It's very plain, and we can understand what it says when we read it. A victim mentality. Ahab suffered from a victim mentality. He felt like he was the one who deserved to be pitied because he couldn't get what he wanted. This is absolute trash. Men, we are not victims. We're empowered by the Holy Spirit to go after all that which the Father deems right and good for us to go after. Nothing is impossible for us to accomplish in Him when we give Him the reins to our life, and through prayer and fasting and seeking that we will find. He says when we knock, the door is going to be opened. When we seek, we'll find. It says we're the head and not the tail. When are we going to start to live as the men that are Messiah-like, Christ-like men, and stop living the trash and living like Ahab with the complaining spirit, with the victim spirit? The selfless Spirit of Messiah is calling you today to walk in the light of the Most High in your life and to feel the empowerment that's waiting for you when we start to get rid of the Ahab spirit and begin to walk in the Spirit of Messiah that is just waiting there at the door for us to knock. If you find this video helpful, like, subscribe, comment, become part of the Malachi 4 mission community that we're building right here. You are loved, you are blessed. The Most High has a plan for your life. We'll see you in the next video.